kill that fast. But then I might just swap the crossy then for a little bit. Yes! Alright, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to Dungeon Delvers Worldwide. This is going to be a comprehensive fighter guide covering 3 of what I consider to be meta builds. We've got the Slayer, a dual weapon master who puts out an insane amount of damage per second, but he's built a bit thin, like a rogue. We've also got the 3/5 plate fighter, who's fast and deadly. He sports plate gauntlets, a plate chest, and a plate helmet, and typically loose trousers and lightfoot boots on the bottom. He's got some of the DPS of Slayer and some of the physical defense reduction of the full plate tank. And finally, we have the full plate tank, a slow-moving behemoth that can actually go toe-to-toe with a barbarian and fear nothing. The first build I'm going to be going over is the full tank physical defense reduction PDR build. This thing is nuts. Alright, all you have to do is wear 4 or 5 pieces of plate and you just get thick as a Snickers. Alright, this is 55% PDR without my shield. So once we pull this out, we could be upwards of near the cap of 75% depending on how much armor and physical defense reduction we want to stack. This build can be cheap, but obviously when you start to wear Cobalt, Copperlight, Ruby Silver, or others, you start to increase the cost of it dramatically. For stats, I focus on strength and vigor, along with PDR, and then armor penetration, so I can stand in place and just trade. Skills, we're going to take sprint to make up for our lack of speed, and then additionally, if there's a very fast class who's lightweight, we can rip off our chest piece mid-fight to gain 4% movement speed. That's often going to be the difference between life or death, or whether or not you should chase or just run. We also have second wind, so we can stand in place and trade with many classes. You're going to be going for a block on their first attack almost no matter what. Think about the amount of classes that rely on first hit for a PvP win. I'm talking about barbarians with reckless attack, rogues with weak point, warlocks with blow of corruption. If you block that first attack, you've probably already won the fight. So get used to blocking and use a heater or a round shield to increase your blocking radius. As far as perks go, there's a lot. We want weapon masters so we can have the crossbow and the serve bow. Use the crossbow for an initial attack on almost any class, and then maybe reload and keep going if it's a plate or something thick. Swap to serve bow for rogue, warlocks, wizards, and possibly rangers, depending on how it's going. Next up, we want swift. Keep that movement speed up because we're weighed down heavy with all this gear. Defense master, just more armor, more PDR. Adrenaline spike. This is the only fighter build I use adrenaline spike on because we are so thick and we have so much health that you can actually sustain through 40% with that action speed. Additionally, second wind, when you're below 40%, can trigger, and then you can just continue fighting faster and stronger as it goes. All the other classes for fighter, my sub builds, typically when I'm below 40%, the next hit will kill me, so adrenaline spike usually is not that helpful. You can also have swaps here. You can use Shield Master, Projectile Resistance, Barricade. A lot of these are very, very swappable with Adrenaline Spike depending on how you're feeling, or Swift if you build fast enough. The reason why I'm starting with this build is because I think it's one of the best builds in the game for new players. All you have to do is walk around that dungeon swinging on everything you see. Getting hit barely reduces your health pool. You can also still boss, just take your chest piece off and your shield for movement speed. Remember, with sprint, you're at max move speed. Plus, it's really good at PvP. Make sure you win at that mid-range with the crossbow or the serve bow, and then push. Here's a fight, 1 versus 1, with a very juiced Barb. Add fish trophy. Ooh. Oh, with move speed? Yes. Oh my god. A little bit of juice. Alright. Nice padded. Alright, next up we've got the Deadly Slayer build. This thing catches players off guard with its output DPS, which is through the roof. Very reminiscent of a rogue, except often it has more health and can take more hits, and sometimes can get even faster attack speed. I like to focus on agility and movement speed at first to make myself not need sprint. So right now I'm at 104. Then we rock attack speed through action speed and dexterity. Armor penetration, so we can punch through anybody. And then true and add damage. Because we're swinging so fast, the true and add damage will go a really long way. So that handles statting. Next up, we've got skills. That's Adrenaline Rush. Swing until they're dead. Victory Strike. Adds damage onto that first hit. So if you can hit him with a crossbow and then push with Adrenaline Rush and Victory Strike, typically people go down in 3 or 4 hits or less, just depending on what they are. Wizards, warlocks, and rogues do not want to be anywhere near you. You are a whirlwind of destruction. Perks, it's pretty easy. It's all damage. Sword Mastery, Slayer, Dual Wield, Combo Attack. Damage and action speed. Damage. Action speed. Damage. We go the distance or we die trying. This class is insanely good at bossing, swiftly moving throughout the dungeon, dispatching all the NPCs, and it's really, really good at PvP. Typically I play with these builds in High Roller for, let's just say, 6 hours a day, but I do like to play normals to sort of cut back and take it easy when I feel like I've lost my peak or I'm not playing at my optimal. Plus, I get a lot of crazy PvP fights in norms, plus players typically hunt me. Right here I've got a rogue who pushes me during the boss. I see it, I try to keep myself on the other side of the boss, right? That way he'll miss his crossbow shots. Here I know the boss is low, so I'm just going to go for it. Else I could sprint back to the open door or sprint toward him, depending on how it goes. He gets a really good shot here through the boss. And then he knows it's me. I get a good crossbow shot, so we push. As always, crossy when at mid-range, into push. One of my favorite parts of Slayer is Victory Strike giving you 15% of your health back. That means you can just free farm spiders and spam all your abilities. So like here I get my ability back, right? Get 50% of my health. I can Adrenaline Rush to start fighting everything. It just auto clears the dungeon for you, and you don't have to sit at a campfire to get any of your abilities back. So you can just find things. Right now we know that the spiders, I can one-shot them to get my health back. So even in PvP, if we really needed to, we could run away and Victory Strike and hit a spider or something. So here, I already hear somebody, but let's get the full health really quick. So just boom. Somewhere on my right. Fighting a goblin, so we can have our crossbow out safely. Now we can just find something to Victory Strike really fast. So first, I'll hit it once. Maybe like once in the arm. And then Victory Strike. You can use a variety of dual-wielding weapons. You can run Mace and Stiletto for armor pen, or Mace Sword, or Sword Stiletto, depending on how you're feeling. Finally, we come to the 3/5 plate fighter. You see this a lot with clerics now as well. When you take 3 pieces of plate on top, and then the loose and copperlight or lightfoots on the bottom. Basically, you're trying to get to 102 to 103% movement speed with gear on, and then if you have to strip armor to fight, like, let's say a wizard or a warlock, you can actually get up to 105 plus. So here we don't need sprint, which frees up our skill slots. Stat-wise, we're going to go for some strength and a bit of agility for the movement speed, but we really want some PDR with this build as well, right? So this will get us to 37% with weapon route, maybe 45 to 50, depending on what your rolls are and all your affixes on your gear. So it's a pretty good middle ground between the Slayer and the full plate tank. This build is pretty dang good. Like, I can use this for anything. Solos, duos, or trios. Skills, you're going to take Adrenaline Rush. This also helps you if you just want to trade, right? You can just shoot them with the crossbow and then use Adrenaline Rush to reload and keep shooting. And then just peel away when you have the debuff. I also will take some sort of buff duration for this sometimes to help us with Adrenaline Rush and Second Wind. And then we will take Second Wind here. You could probably take Victory Strike, but a lot of times with this class, I'll go toe-to-toe still, because I do have that sort of 45 to 50% PDR. Plus, I like blocking. Like we mentioned earlier, always block that first attack, and then we'll use counterattack to gain the movement speed buff to put us at max move speed, and then action speed as well. So you can kind of just strafe around after that, or chase them, depending on how it goes. For perks, I will indeed be taking Sword Mastery again, Defense Mastery, Swift. But again, you don't need Swift right here. I'm almost at 102%, so you can actually swap that out with any number of things like Shield Mastery or Projectile Resistance I'll often run. You could also take Weapon Mastery to give yourself a Serve Bow, so you can fight those Wizards, Warlocks, and Rogues. But here I will be taking Swift. I just like to be fast with a lot of my classes in solo. And you can see why I want to be fast right here against this first Barbarian. I'm just going to outplay his shouts, right? He uses Rage and Savage Roar right away. So at that point, let's just leave for like, 4 to 8 seconds, depending. Wait for his aura to fade. Plus, I see he has a War Mole, so we can just play a Doorway. At least get him to swing once at Doorway. This is why I like Viking Sword a lot right now. A lot of players using two-handers or like a Castagnon. And so I can use Doorways to get them to hit wall. Quite the run. GK, Cyclops Vision Crystal, Dark Blade, more heavy leather, some more copperlight. Good run, a couple quest items. GK obviously was huge. Alright, this has been 3 of what I consider to be meta fighter builds. The Slayer, the 3/5 plate, and the full plate tank. If this video helped you at all, please subscribe, like, and love. Consider dropping a comment and seeing us over at twitch.tv/SoBadStrange. Catch me live most days during the week, and I'll see you for the next one.